Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's me, Adisa, the Alpha Empath, and I am here to share a little transparent story with you guys about how I know or how I am learning how to parent. You see, I have three children. I have a son that is 27, and I have a daughter that is 24, and then I have another son that is 8 years of age. You see, I had my first two children early on in life, and then I had my miracle baby, a child that I was not expecting, but that I needed later on in life. And I want to share with you guys the challenges of parenting from my shadow self versus my enlightened self. And when I say enlightened self, I don't mean just blazing light. See, there are different forms of light. There is moonlight, which is a softer light, and then there is sunlight, which is a more harsher light. Okay, so here we are, we're in Sprouts. I went over to Sprouts because I'm trying to get my healthy living on, trying to eat, vegan, eat organic, and just take care of myself better. So we're in Sprouts doing our shopping, and I'm in the fruit section. And my son is helping me to pick fruit, and he grabs a bag, the little plastic green bags that the fruit grows inside. Oh shit, I forgot announcements. Listen, before I continue the story, listen, I forgot, I am having a goddess boot camp in Miami, Florida from October 23rd through 25th. The cost is $711. If you are interested in attending the Goddess Boot Camp, again, is October 23rd through 25th in Miami, Florida. It's all inclusive. We're going to be staying in a beautiful home, and the cost is $711. Okay, so now let me get back to my story. So he's helping me to pick fruit, and he picks an extra bag up. So I put the fruit into the cart, and then my son, brilliant little mind that he is, proceeds to put the plastic baggie over his head. Now, you know me, just like any other parent. The first thing that I say is, Yakin, take that bag off. You can suffocate yourself. But I don't have a normal kind of kid. I don't have that kind of kid. So my son replies back to me. And here's the thing, you guys. I allow my son to have a voice in my household. I did not allow my first two children to have that much of a voice. They still had one, but they didn't have the kind of voice that Yakin has. And I'm going to help you to see the differences just in case you're going through this with your children as well. Okay. So my son puts the baggie over his head, and I said, take that bag off because you're going to suffocate yourself. And my son replies back to me from underneath the baggie, Mom, I can breathe. You see that I'm breathing. I am not going to suffocate myself. Do you not see the air coming in through this bag? And he was right. He was right. So logically, Yakin won, Mom zero. So I'm like, okay. Let me not parent from my shadow self, because while he rebutted me like this, that shadow parent in me is like, punch him in the fucking throat. That is what my shadow self is telling me to do to my 8-year-old son. My shadow self is saying, we don't have to logically persuade him in love. We can just bully him into obedience. But I have already made the decision that I don't want to bully my child into obedience. And I am in my 40s. If I cannot outsmart, outlogic, outthink an 8-year-old, then he needs to do whatever the hell he wants to do. Seriously, he really does. I should be older and wiser, right? So I'm like, okay, he beat me. So let me come up with something else. So then I try to go the concern route. I say, well, Yakin, many children have died and lost their lives because they put bags over their heads, and they lost their ability to breathe. And I just don't want you to be like one of those children. And then my son rebuttals me again. He says, Mom, do you think that I'm stupid? Do you really think that I will put a bag over my head and make it so I couldn't breathe? Now, I don't know what kind of children those were, but Mom, you don't have a stupid child like that. Damn. Yakin 2, Mom 0. I'm getting frustrated, and my shadow side is saying, punch him in the throat. But we have already made the enlightened decision that we ain't gonna do that, okay? So I'm thinking again, what can I logically say to this little boy to make him see my point? So I say, okay, let me use vulnerability. let me use vulnerability, because vulnerability, my feminine aspect of mothering, vulnerability tends to work with my son more so than emasculating him. And this is very imperative. If you have boy children, you do not want to emasculate your boy children by bullying them into obedience. Please do not do that. They are not as strong in the beginning as girl children. Let me repeat that. They are not as strong in the beginning as girl children, okay? So do not emasculate them, especially if you are the mom, by taking their choice away from them, taking their freedom away from them. Do not do that, okay? So I have to come up with something else. I say, Yakin, do you not see all the adults in this store looking at you? They are looking at you, Yakin, and they are thinking that you are one of those stupid children, okay? And I'm thinking, oh, that's going to really get them. My son then rebuttals me again, and he says, Mom, tell them to mind their business. At this point, I'm breathing hard. I'm breathing hard, you guys, because I'm like, shit, this little boy acts so much like me. He acts so much like me. So now we have 3, Yakin, Mom, 0. I'm getting really frustrated, you guys, and I'm ready to, my inner bully is ready to come out. It is really ready to come out because people in the store are looking at me. So I try to become more feminine with my son, and I express more vulnerability. Okay? So we walk up to the cash register, okay? And the lady that is, tending the cash, she is looking at me with concern on her face, like, oh my God, y'all laughing at this shit. This shit ain't funny. Like, I'm like literally having a meltdown in this store because I cannot figure out how to outsmart my 8-year-old son without bullying him, okay? So she's having a fit. And I say, okay, let me try again. Try number 4. Let me try again. Let me enlist the help of other adults. That's going to work. If I can't, logically get him to understand, I'm going to enlist help from other adults. So I bring her in because she's looking at me funny any kind of way. The people in the store are looking at me funny. And then I said, ma'am, do you mind helping me? Can you please explain to my son why he should take this bag off? Now, listen, that wasn't my most favorite parenting moment. It's a shame that I had to get somebody else to help me to convince my child, but shit, sometimes it takes a village. It just really does. So the woman, she's happy to help. She is so happy to help. I should have warned her that I don't have a normal kid. I should have warned her about that, but I did not, okay? So she tells my son, she's like, listen, you could suffocate yourself. You could die. And us adults, and Yakin goes, well, why are all of you guys looking at me funny? Why are you looking at me funny? Because that's the kind of kid I have. And she says, because we're concerned. We are concerned because adults love children, and we are concerned that you will not be able to breathe. And it is extremely, extremely important that you are able to breathe. And then she tries to bargain with Yakin. She says, don't you believe that it's important that you breathe? And Yakin says, yes. And then she says, well, me as an adult and your mom as an adult, we think that as a child, it's extremely important that you have freedom of breath and that you can breathe freely and deeply like this. I thought that this woman had saved me. I was like, this woman has saved me. And then my child rebuttals. He rebuttals. And he says, if adults were so concerned about children having the ability to breathe, then why do you guys make us wear masks all day when we're in school, and you make us wear a mask in the airport, and you make us wear a mask everywhere? And I can hardly breathe in that mask, but I can breathe better in this bag. Okay. Yakin, 4. Mom, 0. What do I say to this? Yakin dropped a bomb right in the middle of my parenting. He dropped a bomb. He is right. And I said, oh my God, what do I do? Because I want this bag from over his head. At this point, the lady behind the cash register, she couldn't say nothing. I couldn't say nothing because an 8-year-old had just outsmarted us both. So I leave Sprouts, chest sunken in, head down, and I get into my vehicle after I put my groceries in the car. Yakin still has this bag on his head. I'm telling you guys, the shadow in me is saying, bully him into obedience, bully him into submission. But the enlightened version of myself said, Tiffany doesn't have what it takes to parent this little boy, but Adisa does. Parent him using the enlightened version of Adisa and use moonlight instead of sunlight to enlighten your son. So we're in the car. I have some things to do, but I say, okay, time out. Fuck things that I got to do. This is more important that I parent my son from moonlight. So I'm in the car. And I'm honest with my son because every time he rebuttals me, he has disregarded everything that I have said. And he has let me know that all these reasons that I have given him are bullshit. That's what my son has allowed me to see for myself. He also helped me to see that I still have some people pleasing that I need to work on because he was logically correct. I was more concerned about people judging me as a parent. That's what I was more concerned about. I was making decisions based on fear. My son was absolutely right. He was able to breathe better in that bag than he was able to breathe in the mask that we make children wear. So I had to get completely real with myself. I'm in the car. I'm breathing deeply. I'm breathing deeply. And I look over at my son and I tell him my truth in love instead of bullying. And I tell my son, Yakin, Mommy would like you to take the bag from your head because Mommy has fear and Mommy doesn't want to be judged by other people. And I don't want them to think I'm a bad mom. And my son, again, number 5, he looks over at me and he says, Mom, are you being authentic or are you being fake? And I said, son, I'm being fake. And he says, Mom, you have to learn how to follow your own rules. How do you expect me to follow your rules when you won't follow your rules? And at that moment, my son became the teacher and I became the student. He was right. He was absolutely right. And I told him, I said, son, you are right. And he says, Mom, I know, because sometimes you don't make sense. The shadow in me said, punch his ass in the throat. But the enlightened version said, he is right. Take his correction, because out of the mouth of babes, out of the mouth of this little boy came a truth that I needed to hear. Try number 6. I said, Yakin, you are right. But as Mommy is working on her people pleasing habits that she has, and while she's working on her authenticity, can you help me? Because I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed, son. Could you help me with my embarrassment? I know that you are right and I am going to get better, but do you mind if you help me with the fear that I have? My son takes the bag off his head and he says, Mom, I'm going to help you with your embarrassment because I love you. I'm trying not to get emotional about that because, damn, as parents, sometimes our logical brain has not caught up with the enlightened versions of ourselves. And because the logical brain has not caught up with the moonlight and the sunlight versions of ourselves, we bully and we force things. But it would be better if we just allowed love to flow and be honest with ourselves and express our human frailty and express our vulnerability to our children, to our spouse, and to people that say that they love us. My son completely understood my embarrassment because he deals with it sometimes when I am singing in the store all loud and he's looking at me saying, Mom, stop singing in the store. People are thinking you're weird. He understands that. And he was willing to help me shoulder my burden of embarrassment because he loved me. And he's doing that at 8. Listen, you guys, parenting, marriage, and near-death experiences change you like nothing else. Nothing else. And when I had my son Yakin, I made the choice that I was going to be a different kind of parent. I was going to be a better kind of parent. And I was going to teach my son from the healed version of myself versus the wounded version of myself. I made that decision when I got pregnant with this boy, and I am keeping that decision. See, every child that I have had, they turn me into a better woman. They turn me into a better mother. They turn me into a better parent. I'll never forget when I had my daughter Crystal, and she was so beautiful. And I looked at her and I made her a promise. I said, "Listen, I know that I'm poor, but I promise you that I will not raise you in the hood, because beautiful girls like you, they don't really have a fighting chance in the hood. I'm not gonna raise you in the hood. I'm gonna get my shit together." And I kept that promise to Crystal. I fucked up in a lot of different areas, but I kept that promise to Crystal. And now I'm keeping my promise to Yakin. I'm sure that I'm going to fuck up in a lot of areas, but I am not going to parent him from my fear. I will express my vulnerability to my son. So when he's 40 and he's married and his wife expresses her vulnerability, he will do the same thing. He will take off the bag. He will take off the mask and say, "I will help carry this burden with you, wife, because I love you." I hope that that makes sense to you guys. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. And if you want to go to the Goddess Boot Camp, inbox me or go to my website. Bye bye.